Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs remain in effect after an appeals court temporarily paused a ruling that claims the levies are illegal and must be halted. And for more on this, we are joined by Shandre Thangavelu. He is the head of Jeffrey Cheah Institute on Southeast Asia from Sunway University. And Doctor, how significant is the U.S. Appeals Court's decision to reinstate President Trump's tariffs, even if only temporarily?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me here. It is significant, I think. It's because the court ruling, the lower court ruling, was that the president has overreached his executive powers by imposing the tariffs. And it's been appealed, and now the appeal court has put it back with a provision, at least temporarily, until the higher courts take this up. Which actually the significance of this is adds another level of uncertainty to the so-called trade negotiation, or the so-called the trade deal that Trump is looking for. And in line with this is we are already in the midway of the 90 days pause that Trump has initiated. And this has added several layers of uncertainty in terms of trying to deal with this reciprocal tariff itself.
Now, as you mentioned, as we await the pause towards the 90 days, what are the likely short-term economic consequences of these sweeping tariffs for Southeast Asian exporters, particularly those deeply integrated into US and China supply chains?
It is quite significant in the sense that for ASEAN itself, nearly 20% or so of our trade are dependent on US. And US is the second largest export market for ASEAN itself, which basically means that trying to mitigate the higher tariffs and mitigate the trade diversion will be very critical for us to find alternative markets. And in the short run, try to negotiate to reduce the impact of the high tariffs that was imposed on the ASEAN members. It's also important that Trump baseline is already 10%. And if the current appeal and going back, and then the temporary pause of the court ruling means that it become more complicated, and it might be likely that Trump can become more aggressive and move this baseline even further up. Because one of the idea of the baseline is to raise revenue. So for US, so it's like a tax, right? So if he's going to raise, if he doesn't have enough time to raise the revenue, then they might push this the baseline from 10% to higher level to extract as much revenue for themselves as the court ruling start coming through. So there is a lot of uncertainty now in terms of how this reciprocal tariff will affect in the short run. In the long run, from the ASEAN summit, it's quite clear what ASEAN wants to do. Collectively, we want to move forward and try to consolidate the 80%, which is based on a coalition rule base and a market-based principle. We have the RCEP, the largest global trading area. And at the same time, ASEAN individually or together will seek new markets to expand their market. And there's also some discussion about expanding the demand within the East Asia. China expanding its demand, so is ASEAN. Let the middle income grow in the middle run, and invest more in infrastructure, invest in the green economy, digital economy, and create the baseline for us, and consolidate the 80% or 85% that is based on the rule-based and market-based principle itself.
Now, President Trump has framed this move as a response to a national emergency. How does this rationale align with, say, international trade norms and the WTO framework?
The key part of what Trump has done is not just the reciprocal tariff. He completely abandoned the rule-based and market-based trade itself. So as you can see, once you abandon the rule-based and market-based, there's no avenue for countries to negotiate based on a framework that, one, commit each other, two, to undertake the reforms, and three, to open up the market itself. So without the rule base, there is no clear framework, the sequence of things that we need to do to uphold the commitment that made in the agreement itself. To be very clear, what Trump has done, like the UK, it's just a trade deal. It's not a free trade agreement. Free trade has other elements like non-tariff barriers, rules of origin, trade remedies, and intellectual property rights, and so on. So none of these things are coming into play, but we do see some of these emerging with the US and Korea discussion. The beef issue and also the rice issues is also emerging, and behind border issues are emerging in the negotiation between Trump and Korea. So it's not just talking about tariff. There are many, many dimensions are involved. And that's the reason why we need a rule-based, a market-based principle. Without a rule-based, market-based principle, there's no avenue, even for small countries, to actually negotiate anything with the larger countries.
Now, Dr. Thangavelu, very quickly, if the Supreme Court upholds the lower court's ruling, how might a future Trump administration respond, and what would the regional trade ramifications be there?
Well, fairly, I think most ASEAN and most countries already taken this as something they have to deal with in the long run, because we do see the trend from Trump 1.0, the first when he was in office, and then followed by Biden with strategic alliances, and then with the Trump 2.0, the current tariff, we already can see the level of protectionism is rising in US. So it means that fairly we take that as a medium-term issue that we need to deal with rather than a short-run issue. So whether it goes to Supreme Court or not, fairly we take this as something that is inherently going to be in US trade policy. As such, we design our policies and mitigate and create the ASEAN resilience as much as possible based on whatever that is given to us. So you can't retract and believe that what is going to happen is going to be a short run.
Many thanks for your insights. We've been speaking to Shandre Thangavelu, the head of Jeffrey Cheah Institute on Southeast Asia from Sunway University. Thank you.